'Cause there's a lot going on, you guys. There's a lot. Well, the short and sweet of it, the short horrific reality right now is that the Donald Trump administration, of course, is increasingly increased pressure on both legal and illegal immigration, and they're using that. I mean, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more because this is a red herring. This is a scapegoat. It's a way that both the Republican administrations and also even the Democratic administrations have tried to shift away from the main problem. The analogy I used on the Facebook stream was that it's basically like your house is on fire. The fire is caused by economic inequality. Severe economic inequality caused by like deep tax cuts, zero social safety net, decreasing social spending, fiscal austerity on that front, increasingly spending more money on military, engaging in unnecessary warfare. All of these things that have actively been a part of U.S. foreign and domestic policy is causing that fire in the house. And you're over here looking at the blinds going, I don't really like the blinds. I know the house is on fire and I'm about to die, but I don't really like the blinds. They look ugly. And that's essentially the immigration debate. That's essentially the argument, because it's not a real problem. It's never been a real problem, and it's ridiculous to point out that it's a real problem by saying dumb things like immigrants are causing a higher rate of crime. It's like I said, I've heard a million different debates on this. I've heard a million different things on this, like. Immigrants are underrepresented in the criminal population. Both undocumented immigrants are much less likely than natural-born citizens to commit crimes. Even naturalized U.S. citizens are way less likely to commit crimes than U.S.-born citizens. So natural-born citizens, and that's understandable. Like, I'm not saying that there's like some cultural implication here, that there's like some weird cultural reason for why immigrants are causing less crime. It's understandable. You're on your tippy toes when you're an immigrant. You're a first-generation immigrant even. Usually, by the third generation, you've assimilated completely. That's another. That's another statistic that hasn't changed across the board either. And the reason why that's important is because I hear that cultural concept a lot of times. I hear the cultural argument that these immigrants are somehow coming from more barbaric cultures, or that they are more prone to criminality or criminal behavior. I mean, after all, they're breaking the law by crossing the border, and it's all ridiculous. And that actually, the cultural argument is usually eerily, creepily similar, if not identical, to the white nationalist propaganda. At that point, you're essentially, without realizing or on purpose, promoting white nationalist ideals. Thinking that the U.S. culture, that there is this like U.S. cultural hegemony that isn't a fucking mishmash of different cultures already. Like, this nation was born out of immigrants. I mean, this nation was also born on genocide and slavery, but this nation across the board historically has been a nation of immigrants. We have consistently had an influx of immigrant populations come in. So this idea that like this new culture that's coming in somehow, Latin Americans, because they are now the latest influx of immigrants, is somehow lesser than U.S. culture, especially given the fact that, I mean, indigenous cultures and all of that were the real, true American culture originally before we came over and kind of killed all of them, is especially ridiculous. Yeah, this nation was born on colonialism, but this nation has consistently grown and become the America that so many people think about because of immigrants. Yeah, not everyone gets into the genetically predisposed to crime concept. Obviously, there's people like Stéphane Mounier who immediately, who very quickly jump to that conclusion, and that is a terrifying conclusion, created by, that's Serenus. That's actually exactly my point. Is that we never accept immigrants. When the Irish come, we hated the Irish. When the Polish came, we hated the Polish. When the Jews came, we hated the Jews. But ultimately, after a while, you decide like, oh, okay, no, they're just like us. And that happens through diversity. That happens through representation. That happens by living alongside these people. Yeah. It's terrifying. It's terrifying for so many Americans that I mean, and specifically, of course, I'm referring to the Latino population or the Muslim population. Those are the communities that are currently being targeted in this immigration conversation. But accosted by a white nationalist today in the comments of some dumbass shit I was trying to set straight. Seriously, there is talking sense to the people in the margins who are not as educated. The white nationalists are oftentimes too far gone and not worth your time. But not every Trump supporter, and I know this is somewhat controversial for me to even say, but like not every Trump supporter is making an educated decision and actively voting because they think that immigrants are prone to criminal behavior. Yes, of course, an overwhelming majority of them are, and then every single one of them has the privilege, at least, to overlook that fact, even if they don't necessarily believe it. So they are still at fault in some respects as well. But I don't know. I see this as a product of our current system. Like I don't want to blame the fault on individuals. I don't want to say that any group of individuals are purposely advancing this horrifically destructive agenda, with the exception of those in power who are actively doing it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's kind of my perspective on immigration. You have attacked me and lied. It's not just the president. The president is actively pushing that white nativist immigration bullshit, but this is a logical exhaustion of decades-long Republican policy that seeks to not really address their own political inaction and not really address the real problem, but to deflect to this immigration idea. These people have real economic anxieties, and you take that real economic anxiety and you channel it through racial agitation, and you turn it into racial anxieties that these people also feel, some of them. But again, I try to see the good in people, and I try to believe that maybe they can still be changed, that they can still be reasoned with. Some people obviously can't, and some people obviously don't want to. It's understandable if you don't want to justify your existence to some racist shithead. I'm not sitting here and telling like, DACA recipients to go up to Trump supporters and like fucking try to describe to them that they are full human beings just like they are, and they have no say on this land any more than the DACA recipients do. I'm not saying that. But if you have the power to do that, definitely continue to engage your fellow man, because I believe that they could change. Anyway, but yeah, like I was saying, so what's happening currently in Texas is disgusting. It's that the Trump administration is now stripping passports from some Texas Latinos. They're actively targeting. This, of course, is a extension of that pressure on the soft parts of the immigration system that Trump has consistently worked on. And he's, in the most disgusting aspect of this, of course, is that Trump is targeting communities that aren't necessarily able to fight back. These are poor communities. These are immigrant communities that have been underserved for decades. And there's virtually nothing that they can do against the big might of this tyrannical government oppression, essentially. So what they're doing is they're reporting that hundreds, even thousands of Latinos born near the U.S.-Mexico border are being told that their birth certificates aren't sufficient proof of U.S. citizenship to get their passports approved or renewed. So what that essentially means is if Latinos born near the U.S.-Mexico border, if they want to travel, and this has happened already, some people were traveling and they get detained, they get their passports seized from them, and immediate deportation proceedings have started. These are American citizens. These are people that have, in every sense of the word, like they're not even. I personally believe that DACA recipients and all of that, they also deserve citizenship 1,000%, and it's a ridiculously racist notion to assume that they don't. But this is the same as essentially stripping you of your passport and telling you that, oh, I'm sorry. I know that this is your culture. I know that this is everything that you know. I know that you probably only speak English. It doesn't matter. We're going to deport you to God knows where. Sorry. Because we just feel like you're a part of this fake problem that we've created. And that's essentially what's happening. And they're being subjected to ridiculously cruel and inhumane requests, like asking for their baptismal records and insulting interview questions like, do you remember when you were born? Some are having their existing passports revoked and being thrown into deportation proceedings, or even being barred from re-entering the United States when they attempted to come back from Mexico. Could you imagine this? Like, this is something that I've been warning about for a very long time, and so many people were like, no, that's not real, that's not happening, that would never happen, that would never happen here in America. Well, it's fucking happening right now. It's devastating, dude. I did not see the old lady in the parking garage, no. Well, Rex the Reptar, you're not necessarily gonna hear this on Fox News. They're definitely not gonna talk about it, and even if they do talk about it, they're gonna follow that up with, oh, these are all, this is just happening to a few people or whatever, which is a lie, and then they're gonna say that this is to target criminals. Do you guys understand how, like, I mean, this is a bit of an echo chamber here, and I get that, but like, the cruelty is so mind-boggling to me. The cruelty is so insane. To think that this group of marginalized people living in Texas are causing all of the problems of America. To think that people that are coming over the border to while escaping like horrific violence caused by U.S. foreign policy in a lot of instances, or domestic violence, or their personal corruptions of their own personal governments, whatever. These people that are looking to better themselves, looking for a better life, a better opportunity, are being subjected to these insane punishments for no reason whatsoever. And we have all of the resources to help them. That's the worst part. We have not only all of the resources to help our fellow Americans, which we aren't using right now, we have all the resources in the world to fucking help these people as well.